I'll just go ahead and get started. And that way we can let the panel begin as everybody's coming. But I just want to welcome everybody that's joining us. Really excited, really honored to be surrounded by such strong and empowering women on this discussion tonight. I'm the executive director of the Alliance Fastpitch. For anybody who's not familiar yet with the Alliance, we actually just launched in August, and the whole concept is to bring unity to the sport and to create some structure. We really operate as a national league. We've got 6 regional leagues that young athletes are participating in with point values, with earning berths to league championships and national championship events. But I get really passionate as a former player myself of just the things that we can do together off the field. And I think this is a big part of it, continuing to honor just the women who've paved the way, telling the stories, informing our youth athletes and our coaches, and keeping some of the names and the stories relevant and alive, because it's very important for the future of our sport. And I think we're all here tonight because we believe in the future of our sport and what it can do. And another partner of ours who believes, I think, in the same exact thing, and I'm very honored to co-host this with the NFCA. So Carol, I'm going to toss it to you to talk a little bit about the NFCA as well.
Sure. Thank you, Jamie. My name is Carol Bruggeman. I have the pleasure of being the executive director for the National Fastpitch Coaches Association, the NFCA. And I'd just like to thank Jamie and the Alliance for allowing us to join forces on this amazing webinar. And also would just like to thank the panelists for inspiring us with your journeys. And we are all excited to hear your stories this evening. The NFCA is really your one-stop shop for all things softball. And, we really serve coaches of all levels, Division I, Division II, NAI, junior college, and travel ball, which I'm sure a lot of you joining us this evening are from the travel ball community. So simply put, we serve, and we exist really to serve you and along your quest for excellence. So at this time, I'd like to turn it over to our Director of Education and our travel ball liaison, Dr. Joanna Lane.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. We are just thrilled to have an opportunity to learn and grow and be a part of this webinar. So again, Jamie, thanks for letting us jump in on this and participate with you. And then for those of you that want to learn more about the NFCA, this is a great opportunity. I will put in the chat in just a second a coupon code for you, allow you to join for 50% off if you've never been a member. We have a couple of things I'll hit on quick, but a coaching tools package that comes out every year geared to travel high school youth coaches. It will vary on the content, but it will give you a lot of things that you need to find that success on the field. A mentoring program that will allow you to match what you are looking for in the areas you want to grow with other coaches across the country. It's a tremendous opportunity. And then just hours upon hours of education available at your fingertips every time you log into your coach's box, from webinars. Last week we did signal systems, armbands, face signals, indicators. What do you use and how? There's just so many fun things that we get to do, weekly podcasts and a lot. So check it out. I'll get that coupon code in the chat for you. But thanks to you so much for letting us be here. Jamie, truly appreciate it. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I look forward to the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. And thank you for being a part of it. To our panelists, thank you so much. I can't wait. I'm excited. And with that, if we were going to have this conversation, there's no better person than to lead this and moderate it than A.J. Andrews. If you're not familiar with A.J.'s career, Google her. I think she's got a gold glove there behind her, the first female ever to earn a gold glove, and has been a trailblazer on the field and off the field, is still playing, and you have the ability to watch her at the professional level. But AJ, thank you for saying yes so quickly and leading this conversation. And with that, I'm turning it over to you.
Thank you so much, Jamie. Thank you, Kara. Carol, well, I want to say hello, everyone, and welcome to the Black Athletes Through the Decades in Softball panel. As Jamie introduced, my name is A.J. Andrews. I'm an LSU softball alum where I played from 2012 to 2015. And in today's webinar, we are going to be highlighting and speaking with the legendary women who have paved the road for opportunities for Black women in softball, and the Black women who have now sprinted down that very road in order to give the next generation of Black softball players the ability to feel like they can fly down that road. There is no doubt that representation is imperative. And in order to feel like you can achieve greatness, many people have to see it, to believe it, in order to then achieve it. Now, that is why representation is so important. And these women that are all sitting here on this panel today are the faces who have inspired and continue to inspire athletes all over the country and even the world to dare to have bigger dreams and to know that they are very capable of achieving those dreams. Black women have been excelling in this sport for many, many decades, and it is my honor to introduce this star-studded panel of phenomenal women that continue to represent and represented each one. I would love to first introduce Miss Harris, Miss Billie Harris, who was the most valuable player in the 1969 national tournament in Tucson. She was a 5-time All-American left-handed pitcher, was voted to the Pacific Coast Women's Softball League All-Star Team 18 times. Miss Billie Harris, it is so nice to have you joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Representing,
be here.
Yes, ma'am. Representing the 1990s is Gillian Box, 4-time All-American from the University of California at Berkeley. She is an Olympic gold medal and a catcher. She is not able to join us live, but we have some video from her from an interview that we had prior. So excited to still be able to hear her perspective and her insight. Representing the 2000s, we have the fabulous Natasha Watley out of UCLA, 4-time All-American, Honda Broderick Cup winner, NCAA World Series champion, USA Softball Women's National Team World Champion, 2-time medal-winning Olympian, and USSSA Pride retired 7-time Pro All-Star. Hey, Natasha.
Oh, that's nice.
Hey, AJ.
Also representing the 2000s is the also very fabulous Miss Marissa Young out of the University of Michigan, current head softball coach at Duke University. She is was a pitcher at University of Michigan and Big Ten Player of the Year in 2003. Hello, Marissa. Next, also representing the 2000s is Peaches James out of the University of Nebraska, right-handed All-American pitcher, all Big 12 tournament team member, Big 12 Player of the Year, and Big 12 tournament MVP. Hello, Peaches.
Hi, Peaches.
Next, representing the 2010s, we have someone from my alma mater, Miss Jazz Jackson Vesely, outfielder, All-SEC member, NFCA South Region team member. Hello, Jazz.
Hi, thank y'all for having me.
And representing the 2020s, all the way, the new kid on the block, Camille Navarro. She is a junior catcher out of Howard University, NFCA Scholar All-America team member, and an MEAC All-Conference team member. How are you, Camille? Getting ready for season?
Yes, good. Hi.
Today, we're going to be discussing with all of these amazing women, talking about some important and crucial questions and topics, really about how we all came to be where we are today. These women have paved the way for the women that are sitting here now and are going to sit here in the future. And I want to start off with one question, which are, through this process of getting to the success that you've all reached today, what are some challenges that you faced that you feel are particular to you, or just being a Black woman in softball? And I would love to begin with Miss Billie Harris.
Thank you. Well, some challenges, of course, was racism. And it's better, but it's still underlined. You go play softball in a stadium, you get booed, you get things tossed at you. It wasn't the easiest thing to go, but I enjoyed playing softball. So I just took it all in stride and kept playing. It's still tough out here for the girls, but at least I was the only black girl playing during the time that I played for the first 15 years of my softball career. I was playing with all white teams, and it was kind of tough. I've tried to forget a lot of it and continue going through life as I am today. So I'm just hoping that the girls will continue now as they're playing softball to continue and to make it as full and as lively as they can as far as the women's basketball. I hope that softball gets to be that strong.
Yes, ma'am. You are a huge inspiration, everything that you have fought in order to get many of us to the level of play that we are today. So 100% would love to thank you for that.
Thank you.
Marissa, what are some challenges that you faced?
I think just the social acceptance of being, the only Black person on your team, just feeling like you had to work that much harder and, be that much better than everyone around you to get the recognition. I was blessed at a time to be on a team at one point in my career with a couple girls on my team, Natasha Watley being one of them. I played with Peaches James in the pro league, but there just wasn't, you didn't look around and see many like you. So it was a struggle to feel and find your place.
Peaches, what are some challenges that you faced?
Yes, and thank you for having me. I would say over my years, so I started playing softball when I was 10 years old here in Nebraska, but I grew up on the north side of Omaha, and on the north side of Omaha is predominantly African-American. And so there were not a lot of African-Americans that actually played softball. And so, when I was 10, 11, 12 years old, sometimes when I would bring up that I played softball, I'd get interesting looks to say, oh, really, that's a white girl sport. You play softball? And so that aspect of it kind of rocked my confidence a little bit. Sometimes I was then embarrassed to even say that I played this sport just because there wasn't that representation around me. And then on the flip side, being around my teammates, I was also the only African-American.
I don't know if it stopped or not.
I think we lost a little bit.
We're back. Tell me you're back.
I'm back.
Natasha, what are some challenges that you faced?
Oh gosh, I just think I really I was lucky to have some amazing parents. I think that they sheltered me a lot from things that I didn't really know what was going on in terms of remarks, things that were said. But I feel like when I really felt challenges, when it came to marketing dollars, when it came to having to be a marketable athlete, all of the accolades and championships, you think that would equate to the marketing dollars. And I really was told that you're not marketable. And I had a shoe line with the company, and someone at the company told me that I wasn't marketable. And I think that was one of the biggest challenges I've ever faced was, how can I not be marketable? Is it because I'm Black? And I had a counterpart like, well, you're not so-and-so. And that was a huge blow, just in terms of now we're playing, we're trying to make a living. And why can't what we're doing on the field translate to off the field? And I think that was kind of one of the biggest challenges where race took a place. And this man made a comment about me almost favoring a slave. One time I was trying on a hat at a photo shoot, and I tried this hat on, and he kind of giggled and laughed, and he said, "Oh my gosh, you look like Oprah in that movie where she's playing a slave." And he's like, gosh, and kind of brought that up again when it came time to renegotiate. We are trying to have an image, and that's just not what's selling in America. And I think that was kind of one of the biggest, I've never talked about it. And it's been one of the biggest things that I've always suppressed and like never talked about, because I thought it was something that I wasn't doing. I wasn't marketing myself. I wasn't doing the right things. But that's probably the biggest challenge that I've ever faced is having to deal when it comes to marketing dollars.
Yes, it's so interesting where you hear men, they get to go out and just play and just be good. And if you're good, you get to be marketed. But for women in sports, especially if you're a woman in color of sports, you have to not only be good, but quote unquote marketable. And marketable is what is appealing to white America in most times. Peaches, you were cut off a little bit when you were speaking. I want to give you an opportunity to finish what you were speaking on with your challenges.
Oh, and so sorry about that. I don't know what happened. But really what I was just speaking to was just from a young age, not feeling like I really had a place on either side, because there wasn't that representation amongst my classmates and my peers and my African-American community that had that representation to say, yeah, softball and other things that weren't things that they saw. And then on the flip side, you know, feeling uncomfortable and that I didn't necessarily have a place with my teammates, and growing up in Nebraska, where it's a heavily Caucasian state. A lot of individuals here, this is all they knew. This is where they've grown up for a long time, and all they knew were just other Caucasian individuals. And so now to have someone of color come in that's so different than them, not understanding what that means, and certain comments and certain things that were made, it's tough, you know, to not feel like you have a place really on either side when you're 10, 11, and 12 years old.
It definitely is an isolating feeling to think that you are the only one. And as Marissa spoke to as well, to feel like not only are you only one, but also have to be twice as good just to get the same amount of attention or recognition that, you know, other people get freely. Jazz, I would like to give you an opportunity to answer what challenges you feel you faced.
I think my biggest challenges were actually positional. So when I played, I wanted to be Natasha Watley. That was kind of my thing I wanted to do. And it was interesting that people thought because I was Black, I had to go to the outfield. I got told that many times, that you're supposed to play in the outfield. And I didn't understand why, because I was good and I was a good shortstop and I thought I was better than, you know, other people. So why did I have to go to the outfield? And that was something I struggled with for a very long time. Was why did I have to change my position, because that's where I was quote unquote supposed to play. So.
I find that very interesting. I think a lot of Black athletes in softball share that same experience where you start playing softball and it's immediate, oh, you're fast, or, oh, this is where you're supposed to play. And it has absolutely nothing to do with what we presented, just the immediate stigma of what Black people are supposed to be. Camille, what are some challenges that you feel you faced?
Similar to Peaches, growing up, I feel like being the only Black girl, I tried to fit in this box to try and fit in with my teammates. Like, I couldn't have conversations about my hair, or how I did my hair, or any of my experiences off the field. Whereas now, going to Howard, I feel like I'm lucky enough to feel comfortable to have those conversations with my teammates. So trying to find my confidence on the field, transfer from off the field where I found it before. I feel like growing up, I found my place in academics in my regular life. I felt confident in those things. And now on the field, I'm trying to feel that same confidence and embrace that.
Camille, you speak to confidence, and with the different challenges that Natasha, Jazz, Peaches, Marissa, Billie, you all shared, how did you find confidence through those challenges? How are you able to prevail and persevere even with the adversity that you faced simply by being a Black athlete? And I'll start with you, Jazz.
Well, I chose a school I chose a place that I thought I could thrive, right? So when I looked at my school, I picked my school because there were so many people that looked like me that were successful in the same way. So I picked somewhere that I thought I had confidence because they knew how to coach kids, quote unquote, like me, or my personality. The people that were before me, they were so successful that I I knew that I would be successful there. So I kind of came in with a lot of confidence, just knowing the people that were leading me. I mean, I had great women before me at LSU, great. And it was a good experience.
Marissa, how were you able, with the pressure of feeling like you just don't have the same amount of opportunities or constantly having to prove yourself? How did you use that maybe as a motivator rather than something to anchor you?
I think the nature of my position being a pitcher, you're used to the pressure being on you, used to the spotlight. And for me, it was just a matter of being anxious to work hard and know that I could accomplish things that maybe people didn't think I could. And I took it on as a challenge. It's what motivated me to get up every day and work hard and go out and do those things that people, may have not seen in the future. I saw it for myself.
Natasha, how about you? Those comments being made, how do you get past that and continue to know who you are and the value that you have despite what some ignorant man decides to say?
Absolutely. I mean, definitely not letting him be the person who defined me, because I know that I could do incredible things on the field, and honing in all my attention to the work on the field, because that's really what matters at the end of the day. Yes, it's great to be able to be marketed and make the living and do all the things, but what really was important and what really was my passion was to be the best and to win championships, to win medals, and to be the best on the field and let that do the talking. And kind of having that mindset, like, be so good that they can't deny you, and I'll prove myself over here, and whatever, that's one man's opinion's not going to affect me in all areas of life.
Not going to affect me. You are who you are. Peaches, you feeling like you were the only one. How did you allow that to just be something that didn't keep you down or make you feel like you were so much of an outlier or outside that it stopped you from reaching your greatness?
Yeah, I think I almost had to start to become comfortable in a very uncomfortable position, trying to, having to build my own confidence from within and trying to find wherever I could any inspiration of other successful African-American softball players out there. Like, I remember watching Natasha Watley, play and just trying to find that where I could to keep me going, because there were times where it was tough. It was tough to not feel like you have a place to come with your peers and and in my neighborhood that would understand. And then on the flip side with my teammates and things, not quite understanding what it felt like to be the only one and to not always see that representation, especially in a pitcher position, because like as Jazz was speaking about, sometimes being put in that box and maybe we should be out in the outfield. It's really unique in a pitcher position, and hearing that maybe that's not where you should belong either. So
100%. Miss Billie Harris, with all that you endured with segregation, racism, how were you able to stay focused and continue to move forward knowing what you were capable of despite what people tried to tell you you had to do or be?
Well, I love the game. I enjoyed it. I would do anything to play. I would shine shoes, clean the locker room, do anything there was to do. And I was sent out of the room when we were getting ready to go to a world tournament. And so the coach told the team that, we only have Harris, so expect to play 2 games and come home. And I didn't know that until after the meeting that they told me about it, but we went back to Connecticut and we played 7 games and came home. And I did all the pitching, but I worked at it hard. I would throw a ball against the wall 3, 4, 5 hours a day. And they would have meetings and ask me to leave. And it's different things that I just kind of choked back, because I was like everyone else. It seems like you were the only Blacks on a white team. And so I was the only Black on a white team. And it's different, even though your peers, some are good, some are difficult to handle. but luckily I was able to charm my way through. So it was just one of those things that I had to experience, and I got through it okay. And that's 70 years and all your friends.
Thank you so much, Billie. I think that everyone's experience is truly something that has allowed us to move forward, but also given more of a window and a way for other individuals to be inspired by watching you guys were all facing what you faced and continue to propel forward. While you were paving the way for others, I want to know from most of you, what was the biggest difference between playing when you were playing than what you see happening now? Marissa, you want to lead us off?
Sure, I think it's important for us to continue to excel with the opportunities that are given to us. I think if we're successful with the opportunities we're given, it's more likely to open doors for those that come behind us. And obviously, as a coach now, it's my passion and joy to give opportunities to other Black women that are in the sport, and recruit them to a place like Duke, where oftentimes they're told, that's not the school for you, or that's not in your future. And I think, we all can continue to inspire women, young players in the game, them seeing us be successful in what we do on the field, off the field, and now, raising our own families and having families. We really can do it all. And I think the more that they see that in us, they're going to be inspired to do that themselves.
We really can do it all. Peaches, what do you feel like is maybe one of the biggest differences between when you were playing to what you see happening now today with athletes in softball?
Yeah, I do think there is a little more respect that is being given to our game. I remember the only games a lot of times when I was playing that would come on ESPN were the College World Series, whereas now regional games and other games are being played. And I love being able to turn on, a national television program network and be able to see our sport. I would still love to see our sport continue to grow in diversity and have more African-American females that are in the sport. But when I do get that opportunity to see it, I love, just one, being able to celebrate that our sport is being a little bit more recognized than maybe it was years ago. And then two, just being excited and continue to hopefully those doors being opened for more African-American females to be represented out on the field.
Representation, something that is so important, something that I think all of us would say is necessary in order to feel as if we can be successful. Natasha, why do you feel as if representation matters?
So important. And it's something that I honestly didn't realize was so important until I'm signing autographs and seeing young Black girls coming up and waiting in my line to get my autograph, and how important it was to be that example and to be that role model, because it was them who I started to play for every single night. Growing up, I didn't have a lot of people who looked like me. I looked up to Ozzie Smith. I looked up to Fred McGriff. I looked up to the Atlanta Braves, all of these men baseball players who were my heroes. And what would it have been like if I were able to see Billie Harris play? What would it have been like if I were able to see a Black woman play at the highest level and know what my possibilities could be? Just lucky that there were a ton of opportunities to excel and have access to this game. But I think it's just so powerful when you can see something achieve to be it, you have something to model. It makes your day so much easier when you can wake up and you know what you're trying to strive for, what you're trying to be, who you're trying to be. I just think it's a really powerful thing, just seeing representation. Our world, our country is so diverse. So I think our sport should start to reflect that, and there should be inclusivity. This game is for everybody.
100% agree that the sport should be indicative of the Black talent that is out there. And there are a lot of Black athletes in softball that are very talented. Jazz, why do you feel like representation is so important?
Well, I see it at the youth level, right? So I run a youth organization and I have players from 8 years old to 18. And that's what they're doing, what Natasha said. They're out there going, oh, I'm Shay Knighton. Oh, I'm so-and-so. Oh, I'm so-and-so when we're playing. And I think that's so important because they're playing a million positions. So I have kids going, I want to pitch and I want to do this and I want to play first and and it's so different than it was just 5 years ago at the travel ball level. It's become a place where to see themselves somewhere. I've had people say, I want to coach. And I do think that's because they're starting to see coaches that look like them at high level schools, at big schools, in Power 5 conferences. I just think representation lets you know that it's a possibility for you.
Lets you know that it is a possibility, as all of you have done. Camille, why do you feel like representation is so important?
I think representation is most important because without it, I wouldn't be playing college softball. Like without many of the girls on this panel, I couldn't see myself playing softball at the highest level. Like when I see Michelle Moultrie and Natasha Watley, A.J. Andrews playing in the Women's College World Series, like I felt like I could do that and compete at the highest level in the SEC, Power 5 conferences, all of it. And similar to what Jazz said, I feel like representation in male sports is also important because our country favors men's sports, women being able to see themselves in positions like umpires, referees, general managers. We can see ourselves thriving in all realms of sports past softball.
I love that. In all realms, softball and beyond, being able to see it, to believe it, to achieve it. Miss Billie Harris, I want to know, you being the Jackie Robinson of softball, someone that has truly been the spark to many of us in our careers playing softball. Why do you believe representation is so important?
Well, back in the day when I first started playing, there was no such thing as scholarships. And now we have scholarships for the girls, that anyone that is good enough to play in college, and it's been the most exciting thing for me because we had teams and sponsors to give scholarships to young girls coming up out of junior high school and high school to go to college, and we would give out scholarships for them. And they weren't huge scholarships, but they were scholarships to help them with their books and even lunches and things like that. So many of the colleges now are giving scholarships, and the girls always say that they would love to do the same thing as Jazz said. They want to coach or they want to play a certain position. And I used to give pitching lessons, and I thought, well, that's not a bad thing to do. So I would go out and have 4, 5, 6 girls and give them pitching lessons, and they really enjoyed that. So I think it's important to do those things.
Representation being something that truly allows all of us to feel, even Jazz, you spoke to the young athletes, to feel like they can too be a Shay Knighton, be a Natasha Watley, be a Camille. I want to know how we all feel as if representation can continue to grow in this sport, and softball players, Black, brown, any ethnicity, can look in the mirror and say, I am a softball player, and not feel, as Peaches mentioned, like maybe this is just a white sport. This maybe isn't somewhere where I belong. How do we continue to grow that representation? Peaches, I would love to start with you.
Absolutely. So I think continuing to uplift each other, having webinars and panels such as this, like I'm so inspired right now just listening to all these women, and to have more of this and uplifting each other. I'm actually a part of a Facebook group. It's called Black Girls Play Softball, and I love it because there is so much positivity and posts and videos of just all these African-American females that are doing great things at a young age, and see them go on to college. And it's so uplifting. I could imagine just if I were 10 years old and I was able to be in a group like that and see so many other African-American females that were doing it big, and where I would feel like, you know what, I can do this. I can be a part of this sport that maybe others see as just a Caucasian sport. And so I think continuing to have these things where other African American females can be empowered and uplifted by each other.
Jazz, from the youth level, you spoke to just how powerful it is to be able to watch Black athletes excelling on TV for the young athletes that you coach. How do we continue to grow that, continue those conversations of representation even at a young age?
I think social media is probably the biggest part of that because that's where the kids are. And so I think we have to lean on people like Camille that are in college to use their voices to show that, because that's who the kids are looking up to. There's probably not as many kids on this webinar that there should be more, but they're on social media. So to the people like Camille, your teammates, your friends, Camille, you need to tell them, get on social media, post about your time, post about your experiences, post about your wins. Kids need to see that, and they need to see that maybe there's a day you're not feeling good, but tomorrow you're feeling great, and know that it's okay to have those ups and downs, but also see you and see people that look like them and doing these great things. So even the coaches, Marissa has 2 really good young daughters that are playing and doing well. And I know I have my kids say, oh man, did you see so-and-so's going to Florida? Or did you see so-and-so's going to so, like, they look at that stuff. And I think the more they see it, the more times that they'll try to do those things.
Absolutely. And the more you see it, again, as we keep talking about, the more we feel like we can achieve. Marissa, you being a college coach, when it comes to recruiting or just having more of that representation on college teams, what needs to be done to continue to grow that?
I think that players young and at the college level need to make themselves vulnerable and reach out, find mentors and try to connect with them. And I think that's something we didn't have the opportunity to do at our age growing up, dating ourselves a little bit. And the internet didn't start till the 90s, and we couldn't follow, our favorite player on Instagram or any of that. And they have the opportunity to do that. And I know, all of us on this call would be more than willing to guide and mentor and be a resource for any young player out there that is going through things. Find to help you on your journey, trying to go. And so just have the courage to ask.
Have the courage to ask. Miss Billie Harris, I want to know, from the years that you've played, I know you would have kept playing at age 74 if you could, to continue to give that representation to all these young women. How do you feel from your experience when you first started playing through the decades you've been playing, that representation grow, and how can it continue to grow?
I just think, as the girls have said before, that we see ball players in school, and we just keep encouraging them to continue to do what they enjoy doing and never give up, because it's something that if you love it, you're just going to continue to work. And it's just one of those things that I enjoy doing. And when I see a young ball player out on the field, and I don't go to very many games, I try to give them tips on what I think they need to practice on, and some of them really take the advice. So I think we just need to keep encouraging them to continue doing what they enjoy doing.
Amazing. Camille, you took notes? You gonna be boosting that social media? Camille, yep. I want to know from you, where would you like to see softball look? What would you like to see it look like in 10 years?
In 10 years, I want to see HBCUs competing in the Women's College World Series. Going to Howard, I feel like we've struggled. We've had lack of resources, and I feel like we're working to compete at a higher level. So in 10 years, I want to see us in the Women's College World Series.
I want to see you for Women's College World Series in 1 year. How about this year?
Next year. Yep, this year. You're right.
Natasha, where would you like to see softball? What would you like to see it look like in the next 10 years?
Oh, gosh. I mean, big picture, definitely we need pro league. We need a pro league. That's just in general. If we can get a pro league going, I think that would be great. But more diversity. I think last I checked, 8% of softball collegiate athletes are Black athletes. That 10 years from now, I would love for it to be 50-50 or just more inclusive. That number needs to grow. We know that there are Black athletes playing this game. And like I said before, this game is for everybody and that everybody can excel at this game. We all are super passionate about it. So continuing to put it in front of whomever, wherever, no barrier of entry, continuing, we're all doing our duty to grow the game. The Camilles and the AJs of the world, you guys continuing to advocate on social media and wherever that is, advocating for our game and showing that this game can provide so much. So I think 10 years from now, I think diversity we should grow. We should be more of an inclusive sport, and 8%, we're not cutting it. That's not good enough.
I love how I think a few years ago it was 4%, maybe 4% of Black athletes are college athletes. So we have moved forward, but moving forward is not enough. We have to continue to keep going in order to truly see the change that we want to see. Peaches, where would you like to see softball? What would you like to see it look like in 10 years?
Yes, I would love to, like others have said, I would love that women would be able to strive to make this their career, to be on the same level as some of the male sports, that they're able to make this their career. And I would love that for women across the country to be able to go on a professional league and that's their career, because there's so many talented softball players. And you know, I would absolutely love more diversity. I would love for someone to not have to feel like they have to go to a certain school to feel like they belong and to feel like that they're going to have teammates that understand their hair texture and understand them, that they'll be able to go anywhere in the country and they know that they're going to have other teammates that are going to understand our culture as an African-American female. And so that's what I would love to see in 10 years.
I love that. Marissa, where would you like to see this game in 10 years?
Sure, just echoing what they've said, growing the diversity in our sport, seeing our sport get the recognition it deserves. You know, everywhere you go, people ask about softball. I love watching softball. I love watching softball. So how can we get it to a level where the pro league is equitable for women playing the game, but then also after women who have excelled in the sport are done, they should be able to have careers that they're able to travel other sport. So that on all levels so that they have a future long after the game.
Definitely echo that, being able to be proud and say, I am a pro athlete and be treated as such and continue to compete as such. Jazz, where would you like to see this game in 10 years?
So always coming from the youth perspective, I would like to see more diversity in our coaches. I'd like to see more women come back and coach. And so we have to make it more profitable so that they're able to do that. But I would like to see there be more women of color, women of just different types of women coaching. I just think that the representation could even be greater there, that a player can see themselves in their coach. So I hope that there's more of that. And I also hope, like Marissa said, after they play, they should be able to make a career. They should be able to commentate. They should be able to do the things that the men do once they're done. They have just as much knowledge and just as much experience. So I hope for in 5 or 10 years that that's changed.
Miss Billie Harris, what would you like to see the game of softball look like in 10 years?
I think the girls have all said it. I'd like to see them. I'd like to see the women play and be paid the same as the men. I just think that 10 years from now, that if softball continues as it is in college, they could go professional and have as many girls that are playing in college. Each one of those colleges develop a team and they could have a league just like the men have. And I just think that I've always dreamed of that sort of thing happening, and hopefully I'm here when they will have professional women's softball that is alive as doing as well as the women's basketball. We should have as many young Black women playing softball as the men are playing basketball. So I'm just hoping that that's what will be happening in the next 10 years. And they better do it in the next 2 is what I'm concerned about.
And that's if I wasn't already determined, I am now to get this league up and running in the next 2 years for you, Ms. Harris.
Absolutely.
We're gonna hear from Gillian a video of how she would like to see this game look like in the next 10 years.
It's coming back. She's
In a perfect world, what you would see softball looking like in 10 more years.
Yikes. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it would be great. Well, that's a tough one. You know, I would
just
say
listen for
there's
now.
some great college programs out there. Like I said, I went to Cal and well, they're rebuilding their field this year. I think it's scheduled to be ready in 2022. And I mean, looking at the plans, it looks like it's going to be a great facility. If we can get more of those great facilities, like I said, that's when you ask, you know, what do people have today that we didn't have? We were changing in the parking lot. You know, we didn't have a locker room. We had nowhere to go when it rained. We were sitting in dugouts as it's pouring rain. I mean, and that was just how it was. Now there's some beautiful stadiums out there for women's softball, and I think it's about time. And then, you know, keep growing the professional league. If we can get that where it's more mainstream, that would be amazing. Try to expand the number of cities that they're in and keep going with television and getting it out there so that people who don't have the opportunity to see it firsthand in person can see it on TV, and that's how we're going to get it out to more young. But yeah, I think it's a slow growth, but I think it has been growing. We just need the current players to keep doing what they're doing and keep pushing it.
We just have to keep doing what we are doing and keep pushing it. For anyone that has a question, make sure you drop it down below. Around the last 5 to 6 minutes, we're going to go ahead and answer those questions. But I do have one final question for everyone on this panel. And I would love to begin with Miss Billie Harris on this question. You have played through segregation. You have not been able to eat in restaurants. You have had to sleep on cots instead of beds. You have had experiences that none of us have had to face. I want to know what you are most proud of when it comes to your success, and what would you say to your younger self now that after all that you have achieved?
Well, to begin with, I'm happy to be here, and I'm pleased that I was asked to be on this panel. But some of the challenges that I've come across in my lifetime is when I went to Africa, South Africa, to play softball. I couldn't go as myself. I went as an honorary white. Otherwise, the team couldn't go. And I was the only Black on the team. And so when I got there, the Blacks were fixing the field, but they couldn't come in and watch me play. And but in the evening, sometimes the white team would come and get me and take me out, and they would I'd be right there in the middle while they walked down the street, because I wasn't allowed to talk to my people in South Africa. There was another question you asked me about, but I forgot what it was.
What are you most proud of from all your success?
Being able to sustain the going through the things that I've gone through, and still had a chance to smile and talk about it and be appreciative of the opportunities that I've had while I was going through it, because I had a chance to travel, and that was an experience in itself. So being inducted into the first Black in the National Softball Hall of Fame. I was proud of. My mom and dad were there. And then after that, I was inducted into 4 other halls of fame and around the state. So. Oh, and they also, when I first started playing, they said, don't read the paper because it'll give you a big head. Well, there were things, I never read the paper because I didn't want to get a big head, but I never read anything about myself until I was probably 50 years old or older. So I just never paid any attention to it because all I wanted to do was play softball. So it was just, I was just happy to be able to play as long as I did, stay as healthy as I am now.
I'm very proud to have had the opportunity to speak and listen to your journey and all of your perspectives. Natasha, what are you most proud of, and what would you say to your younger self after all you achieved?
Oh gosh. Well, to my younger self, I mean, there's a lot of things that I would say. I think advocate, use your voice, speak up. I think more so loosen up. I was so tight and uptight. Like I just was like always so serious. I know Marissa's laughing, but I was just like so uptight, like, gosh, like loosen up. And then just be an advocate, speak up and use my voice. If I had to talk to my younger self. But what I'm most proud of is what I'm doing now. Just growing this game and giving access, opportunity, showing young girls whomever that you can be whoever you want to be, whether you're Japanese, whether you're Black, whether you're white, whether you're brown. Like I just want our game to grow. Again, I keep repeating, I just believe this game is such a powerful game, and it's for everybody. It's for everybody, and I truly believe that. And I'm most proud of the work that I'm doing now, just being able to continue to stay in the game and to continue to empower young ladies just to be whoever they want to be.
Love that. Jazz, what are you most proud of?
I agree with Natasha. I'm most proud of what I do now. Running the organization that I run, I'm one of the only women, not even women of color, just one of the only women. And we're one of the largest in the country. And I'm just proud of the fact that every day there's hundreds of girls that I help lead and find their place at the next level. So grateful for that.
Marissa, what are you most proud of?
Obviously, you enjoy the accolades you achieve on the field, but I think raising 2 strong Black women in this sport is my biggest pride and joy. And now being able to coach 25 women each year and lead them through the most challenging and changing times of their career and build them into strong women is the biggest thing I'm proud of.
Peaches, how about you? What are you most proud of?
I would say that I am most proud of being able to use my voice now. I've been an introvert my entire life, and I still am an introvert, but I feel like that I am much more able to use my voice now, especially on this topic. For the longest time, this topic was uncomfortable for me because I never wanted to make others feel uncomfortable talking about some of the representation matter and what being an African-American female athlete meant and the struggles and how things felt. And so now I feel a lot more confident in being able to speak on those things. And the other thing I would say is just being a mother and now really being intentional about what I'm teaching my children and making sure that my children have the opportunity to see all types of representation. So I'm intentional about the books that we read or some of the movies we watch or just the places that we go, just so they can see that representation in all walks and not have to feel like there are certain stereotypes or boxes that they have to stay in, that they can do anything and be anything that they want to be.
Yes, I would say I completely agree with that. Finding my voice in any and everything and allowing people to feel uncomfortable, being okay with other people being uncomfortable as long as I am able to get how I want to get across. Camille, what are you most proud of?
I'd have to say, similar to Peaches, finding my voice and my role in this sport. I feel like being at Howard, I've had the best teammates and coaches that have allowed me to do that and feel comfortable on the field and off the field, and continuing to grow this sport and knowing my role and providing representation for younger girls at HBCUs and in softball in general. So.
Amazing. I know we have a couple questions in the chat. I want to make sure we get to some of them before we leave, but I think that this one right here for everyone. Hi, I'm the parent of 2 young ladies, 8 and 11, and I have had softball since they were 5. How do I motivate them to continue to play and other young Black girls to play? I noticed that on the local high school team, they only come to play, not taking serious, no private coaching, and the coach to me is just getting a check. My 11-year-old tried for the team, then she was like, she wants to be better. That's some of my high school kids. So how do we get more of these athletes involved and continue to have them motivated? Anyone want to answer that first? Jazz,
Well,
I would say, yeah.
Sure. I think you have to find their motivation. So if it's getting better, then you have to find better teams for them, even if you have to travel. If it's college is what they're trying to get to, then you got to find out, where they're trying to go and get them put in that position. But every kid's motivated differently. So it seems like this person is motivated by like the team that they need to be on. So they probably need to look at travel ball. I don't know if this one was a local team, but look at kind of getting into a more tougher travel ball competition.
Getting them more competition. Anyone else have anything to say? Any input on allowing kids to feel more motivated?
Again, I think just using the opportunity they have with social media, you might not be getting what you feel your kids need from their immediate coaches, but there's so many other people out there in this sport that are willing to be great resources for them and can help motivate them. May not be hands-on with them every day at practice, but can definitely help them on their journey.
Yeah, and I think along the same lines is just, putting some examples in front of them. It's the whole thing when we're talking about representation, showing them examples of a Camille who's currently playing in college and a AJ who's currently still playing, like showing them examples. I think that's a motivation in itself. Like, I don't even know, like if you're showing up at practice and you don't even know what you're striving for, and it's hard to motivate if you don't have anything to shoot for. So just putting images in front of them of young ladies who are out there doing it, I think is super powerful of utilizing social media. So just kind of piggybacking off of what Melissa said.
I also think that kids that have softball clinics that are very important for them, because you have a hitting clinic, you have pitching, and you have fielding. And when they learn to do some of those little things, they get interested in saying that I can hit the ball now, or I can throw the ball the way she does. And I think clinics are one of the things that they need to advertise more of, for the coaches to have 15, 20 girls come out, be in a clinic, and they show the children how the start with their softball.
Continue to be motivated through challenges, continue to push forward, see what it is that you can do, continue to show the representation, show that there are girls achieving the things that they would like to achieve. That is certainly how to continue to move forward with motivation and inspiration. We are reaching the end of this amazing panel. I would love to talk to all of these women for another hour if I could, but this has been an amazing panel, listening to these specific experiences in softball of these amazing Black women who have pioneered and how things have changed over the years. Softball is a sport where many Black women have excelled for decades, as you see through this panel, and will continue to excel for decades to come. I want everyone to understand that Black history isn't just reserved for the month of February. As you've seen and heard today, Black history is being made in every decade, year round. Thank you so much, Billie, Gillian, Natasha, Peaches, Jazz, and Camille. And I want to thank everyone who tuned in from home to this Black Athletes Through the Decades panel, which was powered by the Alliance Fastpitch and sponsored by NFCA. I'm your host, AJ Andrews. Thank you again and have a fabulous night.
Thank you.
Thank you, AJ.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, AJ. Good luck, everybody.
Thank you.
Good
Thank
job,
you
ladies.
all. Thank
Great
you
job.
guys.
Thank you, Jamie.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye, Natasha.
Bye, Billie. Nice to see you. Nice to see you,
Thank you.
Peaches. Nice to meet you.
Nice
too.
to see you.
Yeah,
Thank
nice to
you.
see you. So good to see you. Nice
Miss
job, AJ.
Billie, I would love to interview you again, if that's okay.
Yes.
Okay,
okay.
I'll come to Texas. I really will.
Okay.
Billie, amazing,
Bye,
amazing.
Natasha.
Bye,
AJ.
AJ. Good job.
You are
See you.
amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
I wish this was live so we could go grab dinner and
I
drinks.
know.
I know.
Bye, you guys.
Okay.
Tasha, thank
Bye.
you.